Hello horror hounds. Well, I've got a real treat for you now in this what has become month of wax, where I wax lyrical. That joke is courtesy of Alex Eventhal about waxwork museum horror films. And this particular video comes courtesy of Horizon 123 or Horizon 123. You'll be able to see their comments in the our conversation in the comment section of the review I did for the Wax Mask, the 1997 Waxwork Museum set horror film produced by Dario Argento, the only collaboration between Argento and Lucio Fulci. In that video, I was piqued by the fact that the story was credited to Gaston Leroux, the writer of The Phantom of the Opera, amongst many others, but couldn't really find any evidence that he'd written this so-called short story called The Wax Museum or Night at the Wax Museum or anything like that. Anyway, Horizon 123 pointed me towards not only the truth of the matter that Gaston Leroux was falsely credited. I mean, look at their reasoning in the comments section of the Wax Mask. I can't say it any better really than they did. But winded up pointing me towards this short film, 10-minute short film, no more. The beauty of which is that you can see it here on YouTube. I will link to it in the description. I urge you to go and watch it. It's from either 1913 or 1914, depending on the sources. Thought to be lost until 2007, found, restored to an extent, and it's a fascinating watch. Not least because of the fact that it isn't fully restored. We will get to that in a couple of minutes. Let me refer to my scholarly notes so I can tell you what I can tell you about The Man with Wax Faces, translated from the original title, Figure de Cire. I guess I might be pronouncing that appallingly. So I guess the translation of The Man with Wax Faces ain't that great. Even a plum like me would translate Figure de Cire as figures of wax. But anyway, directed by Maurice Tournier in either 1913, 1914, set and made perhaps during the Belle Epoque, the time just before the start of the Great War, World War I. It's very hard not to imprint our knowledge of the horrors of the mechanized war to come on things made just on the cusp of the Great War, as it was so called, a horrible name for a horrible war. It seems to also prefigure German expressionism with the use of shadow and the like. But for just 10 short minutes, there's an awful lot in there to absolutely adore. The plot's very simple. I'm not going to. I will set it up for you. It's a very short piece, as I say, 10 minutes, so thin on plot. So don't worry. Apart from the ending, which there's a setup and a payoff essentially. So the setup is that there is a man who believes that he is not afflicted with fear. He can spend the night in whatever scary or supposedly terrifying surroundings you can choose to put him in, and he will not be afraid. So he sets up a bet, and his friend bets him that he can't spend the night in a wax museum without being afraid. Exactly like what happens at the start of the Wax Mask, the Italian film. There's a little vignette at the start where the bet's made, and he tries to spend the night and fails in spectacular Italian horror cinema fashion. Now, the script for this short piece. This is where it gets interesting for me. This is what Horizon 123 pointed me towards. So again, many thanks for pointing me in the direction of this piece. The script was written by André de Lorde, and he was, well, it says the main writer, or one of the main writers for Le Théâtre du Grand Guignol, the Grand Guignol Theatre in Paris, which is surely proven to be the seedbed for most of what we love, most of what I talk about here with you guys all the time. According to information I found on Wikipedia, André de Lorde, Comte de Lorde, 1869 to 1942, was a French playwright, the main author of the Grand Guignol plays from 1901 to 1926. His evening career was as a dramatist of terror. We love him. We love this guy. During the daytime, he worked as a librarian in the Bibliothèque de l'Arsenal. He wrote 150 plays, all of them devoted mainly to the exploitation of terror and insanity, and he wrote some novels as well. In 1910, he wrote a play for the Grand Guignol called Figures de Circe, Wax Figures, which apparently he then adapted into a short story, which was since wrongly attributed to Gaston Leroux, but then he adapted that or his play into the script for this short film. How many other of our cinema, horror cinema and horror prose mainstays found their wellspring from the Grand Guignol Theatre in Paris. The mind boggles to think, but when I stumbled upon doing the month of wax, I didn't know that this even existed. So towards the end of the month, to be pointed towards it and to find it and to be able to talk to you guys about it seems almost too perfect to be true. You must watch it. The film was considered lost for many years. I'm reading this, can you tell? Before Lobster rediscovered a tinted print in 2007. Lobster is. But thank you, Lobster Company. Doubtful person. It's partially damaged, yet it's one of those cases where the nitrate damage parallels the story almost fortuitously, appearing right as Pierre is starting to lose it, go insane. I'd go further. There's an eeriness to this. I mean, the short in and of itself, I find fascinating. It gives us a glimpse as to what might have been seen on the stage at the Grand Guignol Theatre anyway. This does seem to be the seed from which all these other wax films that I've spoken about has sprung from. Mystery at the Wax Museum, The House of Wax with Vincent Price, the Wax Mask, the Italian horror, and for that alone, we should be grateful that what now over 100 years old was thought lost has been brought back and restored. What you will see when you watch it, and please click on the link below or add it to your watch later list and check it out at your leisure. There'll be an English translation of the title cards for you on the one I'm linking to. It's completely silent, so there's no music to the video. So if you want to choose some random background music to watch it with, by all means do so. And really enjoy the creep, the sort of metatextual uncanniness. I would even go so far as to say Lovecraftian, sort of indescribable otherness that occurs during the instances where the damage to this film was irreparable. It's so hard not to read something creepily supernatural into it, achieving by accident something of the dread that was intended for Ringu and Loop and Spiral and those books and those J horror movies. Watch when our protagonist pays over the money to the owner of the wax museum so that he can spend the night there. The deal struck, and the supernatural forces swirling around him. When he moves into the shot from the right hand side of the screen and is facing this way, and a wall of distortion appears there and then moves off screen to have him turn around and recoil at the sight of something off screen that we can't see. When the mania overtakes him, it actually physically overtakes the film as well, and warps and distorts the film as like I say, some Lovecraftian level of horror. I mean, with this is just this is a delicious detail that I really want to share with you. The film in and of itself is obviously the work of someone who's very sure of themselves with a camera, can frame a shot fantastically well. There's a superb towards the end use of a shadow on a wall, sort of looming and then receding without context until the person that's casting the shadow comes into the frame, and then you can spatially make sense of what you've been seeing. Whereas before he comes into the frame, space almost starts to break down. There's a wonderfully restrained shot at the start where the guy's getting used to his surroundings, and we can see the displays around him, and the camera just, with such assuredness, just pans down to show, oh, this was just out of shot, just below. And then later on, when he moves into another room and everything seems fine, and the camera just creeps over to the left, and just out of frame here, there's something that you hadn't seen before. I think after having watched it once, there seems to be a mixture of actual wax works and dummies and real human figures. Excuse me. It's hard to tell with the quality of the quality of the picture. That ends gives a delicious eeriness to it as well, because some of them look obviously like dummies and some of them look uncannily human. It just all adds to the glorious effect. So once again, thank you to Alex for the fantastic pun. We're a fan of puns on this channel, as you will see, not only in October, but also November. I've planned 2 puntastic months for you. And thank you once again to Urizen123 or Urizen123 for pointing me in the direction of this, so that I can now point you guys. Go and check it out. It's worth your time.